Hey guys, it's the one and only African superstar, and I'm back again. You know, even though I've been living abroad since 2017, you'd probably be surprised to realize that one of the most popular questions I still get asked to this day is what led up to my decision to move abroad. So I want to share with that. I think one of the biggest realizations for me was realizing that the game was rigged. Realizing that I was in for a life of slavery and that it was going to be extremely difficult for me to change class. And even if I achieved financial goals, I still had systemic issues and the racial construct that I did not find suitable. I ran across this really important news story today, which kind of drives home my points because it goes over one of the creative ways the American government has devised to be able to take people's fully paid properties from them, meaning that you will never, ever, ever own anything in the Western world. You will always have to pay, irrespective of if you've purchased land or built buildings or paid the mortgage on your house. And this is another testament to the house always wins. You know, in the Western world, it's an endless cycle. The story I'm about to show you is so totally devastating because it overviews people that have spent their entire lives working and in their most senior years had their properties taken to them because of defaulting on property taxes. Both cases were less than $10,000, a fully paid house. You see, and this is another way that discourages generational families and wealth from being able to pass down things in their family to give their kids the competitive advantage and help their families along their way.
A key part of the American dream is homeownership, but with that comes a responsibility many homeowners dread: property taxes. Some Americans claim their property tax bills are disproportionately high, and a new analysis by ABC's own television station shows that's exactly what's happening to many homeowners in majority non-white neighborhoods. The data shows a nationwide pattern of what's called highballed tax assessments. In tonight's Prime Focus, ABC News investigates how high taxes can also leave homeowners homeless. Here's our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott.
That's where we used to gather to bring the family together.
For 70-year-old Benita Anderson, this Baltimore house became a safe haven, a place that her 5 children and 8 grandchildren could call their own. But a cancer diagnosis in 2020 changed everything.
When I started feeling better, that's when I got the mail.
Benita was already struggling with mounting bills. Then it was a letter from the city of Baltimore letting her know she owed about $5,000 in back taxes from the last year.
That's what I paid. But they say they applied that to other tax years versus applying it to the year that it was for.
By 2022, the city of Baltimore put a lien on Benita's house that was then auctioned off to the highest bidder.
Take me back to that moment when you realized that you would be losing your home.
I sat down and I said, oh my God, I'm 70 years old and I'm homeless.
Benita is one of many across the country who found herself highballed, facing disproportionately high property tax bills and ultimately losing her home at a government sale.
If you can't afford to pay your property taxes and you keep missing your payments, government is going to auction your property off for back taxes.
Property taxes are based on an assessment, the government's best guess of how much a home is worth.
So there are a lot of variables. If the assessment system is not working the way it is, it could create tremendous distortions from homeowner to homeowner. Somebody living next door to you could be paying proportionately far more than you're paying.
Take Bonita's old neighborhood as an example, where 97% of residents are Black and the typical tax bill is around $3,800. A few miles away in the majority white Baltimore neighborhood of Cross Country, homeowners tend to pay lower taxes, but their homes are actually worth 50% more.
In suburbia, where you have a high level of segregation, the people who are being taxed unfairly based on not accurately capturing the value of their home are people of color.
In Baltimore, where Bonita lives, 92% of properties listed at tax sales from 2019 through 2023 were in majority non-white neighborhoods. And an analysis by ABC News and its own station's data journalism team found that this is a nationwide pattern, causing thousands of people in communities like Bonita's to lose their homes each year. We found on average, people in those neighborhoods pay disproportionately high property taxes compared to those in majority white neighborhoods, at times even in the same county. It's a story our colleagues heard across the country.
We're like up the creek with nowhere to go, no help, nothing.
Just keep praying and asking the Lord to just keep me afloat.
It's the entire block and entire neighborhood that this is happening to.
Outside Philadelphia, our station WPVI met 91-year-old Gloria Gaynor. She lost her home of 25 years because of an unpaid tax bill totaling $3,500. During COVID, Gloria was unable to pay her tax bills in person, so she fell behind on her 2020 and 2021 property taxes.
My mom, she wouldn't go out. She didn't take any vaccine. She said she wasn't going out. She have a lot of underlying issues.
But when she ultimately made her payments in 2022, the tax office applied them to the current and previous years, leaving an outstanding balance for 2020. Now suffering from dementia, Gloria and her family fought in court to stop the sale, but they lost the lawsuit and their appeal.
Hey, Ma.
A real estate investor bought Gloria's home worth about $250,000 from the county for only $14,000, the cost of her overdue taxes plus interest and fees. Gloria had already paid off almost all of the mortgage, but she got nothing from the sale. And while this is legal, Gloria's attorneys argue it's unfair.
This is stripping generational wealth from the have-nots and allowing the haves to have it.
The Delaware County Tax Claim Bureau told ABC News that while the county sympathizes with the emotional toll on Gloria, the agency followed state law and sent multiple notices ahead of the sale.
Although local governments should do everything they can to keep people in their homes, whether it's an owner or a renter, at some point they have an obligation to all the other taxpayers, the businesses, the families that are paying their fair share to make sure that these taxes are collected.
What do you love most about living in Baltimore?
That's where my family is.
Bonita, now living with her daughter, joined a lawsuit claiming the city of Baltimore broke federal law by selling her house to a private company for pennies on the dollar. The city has defended its actions in court, saying it notified Bonita as required, adding the city did not profit from the sale.
This works for the government because it sells the liens promptly, and it works for the tax sale purchasers.
In 2023, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that local governments could not profit from tax sales. Instead, the court ruled that homeowners have a constitutional right to any payments beyond taxes and penalties they owe. Many states across the country have recently changed their laws in light of that Supreme Court decision. Some municipalities even go beyond what the court required, taking extra steps to keep vulnerable homeowners in their homes, like requiring in-person notifications before a sale or offering payment plans to redeem a home after it's been sold.
The federal answer to lower local property taxes is more funding for local services. They need more help from Congress and the White House.
As the Trump administration has slashed the federal budget, local governments will have to make up the difference to provide the same services. Experts say they will likely rely more on property taxes, which in turn could mean more situations like Bonita's, where homeowners in majority non-white neighborhoods too often pay more than their fair share.
You bought that home with dreams of this idea of passing it on generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to that dream now?
It died. What? I'm sorry. It still makes me emotional. It's just hard, very hard.
A dream deferred for so many. Our thanks to Rachel Scott for that report. Just last week, Bonita Anderson's former Baltimore home was put on the market for nearly $540,000, more than 5 times what she actually paid for it. But she will not see any of those proceeds and still has no home of her own.
I'm so fortunate that I realized early in life that the situation and the system in the Western world did not favor me. In this clip, you see people that have worked decades hoping to pass on their property to the next generation. They lost their property for a minute fraction of the cost that they've invested in it and have nothing to show for it. Unlike a lot of people, when I find these type of situations, I always transpose myself there and think about how I would feel if that was my reality. And I just wanted something different, you know? So I think one of the major reasons that I decided to live abroad was I came to the conclusion that the house always wins. And I didn't want to be a potential victim. So that meant taking proactive steps. I've now dedicated my social media platforms since 2013 to informing you and encouraging you and motivating you to take a look at your options. Until we meet again.